as a human race, we need to support our brothers and sisters at the end of the day.
That's you couldn't say it any better, bro. And that's at the end of the day, I hope that like people take that away from the series, my podcast as a whole. Like we gotta talk about things, and like we gotta stop feeling like we're on islands with shit and that nobody else will understand or nobody else is going through shit, because all that does is put us in a mental place of like now we're making ourselves feel alone, and there's somebody out there who not only probably would be that ear for you to listen to, doesn't know that you're going through it, and would very gladly help you as much as they can. That's not to say that everyone's going to have the answers, but one thing that I do want to point out here, and this is just a statistic, this may surprise you, it surprised me, that 40% of men have experienced some form of body shaming, whether it's fat shaming or being too small. What do you think about that statistic? Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, 40%. Yeah, that sounds about right. What they're not taking into account, and I bet you the number will be a lot smaller. Well, no, that's not true. I was gonna say I wonder who's doing the body shaming. Is it man on man or woman on man? But I'm pretty sure it's both. I mean, unfortunately, that's just sort of the nature of the beast we call
Yeah.
life. I mean, there are going to be people that body shame and fat shame, and unfortunately, it's just something you have to sort of live with. I personally, to my face, have never been body shamed or fat shamed. I feel like no one's ever been like, oh, you're a fat pig, or no one's ever done that, or oh, look at you, you're fat. To my face, I'm sure it's happened a lot behind my back. I'm not stupid, but to my face, no one's ever done that.
That makes sense. That makes sense. When you think of how do I want to word this? The way so the in doing my research for this, it says that what kind of women, the way that they experience, and again, I can only say what I've read. I'm not a woman, so women may hear this and completely disagree. I'm going off research. This was actually done by somebody named Dr. Hammenstein, which I know that sounds like a fictitious Himmelenstein. So look that up if you guys disagree with me, because this is where I'm pulling a lot of my research from. Is that
So
women
go after that dude and leave Haize alone.
exactly? Yeah, don't come after me because I'm just going off the research. That women experience body shaming in kind of a straight line. That's what they compare it to. Is that as women's weight goes down, the body shaming comes down to a point, and then if they get too skinny, it becomes body shaming again. So it's still more of a straight line. Whereas men, it's not as straight as that, because men can be body shamed for, and this is something that was weird, is being too muscular, which me and you don't suffer for, so we can't talk from that at all. We're not. The biggest I've ever been was 295. But that men, they described it as a you, because you can be body shamed for being too skinny, being too muscular, being fat, not being proportioned correctly. Like it's a wider span, and that men actually, the reason why people don't notice it as much is because men typically don't talk about what they're feeling or struggling with, even amongst ourselves. And that's something when we first started talking that you said that you don't have that, you've never really even had that conversation with other men. So do you think that, well, what do you think that reflects? The fact that men don't even feel comfortable talking to other men about trying to get their body together, whereas women, they'll go work out, they'll go jog, they'll do these things together. It seems like, at least in the things that I've seen, men who are already in shape will go to the gym together, but people who are feeling some type of body shame or fat phobia or whatever towards being too large, we kind of just we may share like, hey, I tried this diet, I lost 5 pounds, but it's not like this real conversation about the struggles mentally that we're going through. What do you think about that?
So like I actually, like, most of my close friends are, none of them are like overweight or obese or anything like that. Like in the group, I'm always the big guy in the group or whatever. What I can say though about like kind of what you're saying is, I think if you don't have people who are around you that are trying to talk about it, and even up to a certain extent, then you're hanging around with the wrong type of people.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know right now I'm sort of where I live. I'm not next to where all my close friends were. I moved away from there a year ago, not for any reasons, just for reasons unrelated to my weight or anything, just other things, just because this is where I decided to buy a house. However, when I was living amongst where, like, sort of like my inner circle, my ride or dies, I have like 5 or 6 friends where I could give them a call and they'll be able to do whenever, whatever, whenever, at a drop of a hat. Those guys all the time, they were like, hey, why don't you come over? We'll work out. We'll go to I'll get a membership. We'll go. They were always saying that. Like, I used to smoke a lot, like cigarettes a lot. And January of 2017, I stopped. And they were all forever trying to get me to stop. I remember one year for my birthday, they all gave me like Vapor Shark gift cards. I had like $300 worth of Vapor Shark gift cards because, they all were. But these are like, again, my ride or dies that were looking out for my health. Even you. I never knew what the hell keto was until I met you. You were like, hey, bro, there's this thing called keto. We didn't necessarily go talk in depth about my weight or anything like that, but you were still kind of looking out for me like, hey, there's this thing called keto. I'm doing it. You should really look into it. So guys, I feel like guys don't sit down and like kind of like girls and like, oh, CJ, look at my ass, man. Like, it's getting big. we don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think, I mean, in general, men don't really talk enough about going through anything mental or any type of stress, much less weight. That just adds a whole different perspective on it. And so, like, at what point, and this is if you feel comfortable talking about it, bro, because
with you, bro, I feel comfortable talking about anything.
Okay, so at what point was it that you've gotten to the point where you were just like, look, something has to change about my weight? Because for me,
yes.
Like I said, like the biggest I got was 295. And, I have kids. And it was one day I was running around with Alana. And I remember Alana was probably like, or maybe it was Amaya. It may have been Amaya. She was like 1 or 2. And legit, bro, 5 to 6 minutes of running around the park with her, I legit had to sit down and I was just like, what? And I've been an athlete my whole life. So once that happened, it was like, I got to do something, man. I got to do something. But when did you have that moment for you?
So, again, if my wife hears this, she's gonna get pissed off. But I knew my weight is a health issue, but I'm just being honest, and I never said this to anybody really, except my wife a while ago. I never thought, and maybe in some ways even now, to be honest with you, and it'll be really freaking crazy if this happens, because then you could play this on, you can always replay this clip. But I always felt like I'm not gonna live to see 40 for some reason, and I felt that for like a hot minute, all due to my weight. Not because I'm gonna get hit by a car or some shit. Because of my weight, I'm gonna have a heart attack and die. I'm gonna stroke out. So I was always like, you know what? I've already punched my ticket. It's gonna happen no matter what. And then certain things happen that like I feel like it's God saying like, okay, I'm trying to like wake up, open your eyes. From my dad's side of the family, they have a history of literally everything. My dad is diabetic, high blood pressure. He had 5 bypasses 3 years ago and whatever. And he's, doing better, but his whole side of the family has like everything. So first of all, it runs in my genes. That's number one. Number two, after my dad did the bypasses, I have a friend of mine in shape, probably weighs like 130 pounds, 140 pounds, super in shape, does not smoke, does not drink, does not eat meat. He did like a triple bypass. Young guy, like maybe a little bit older than us, did a triple bypass. My uncle, who is the same way, he's very active, athletic, eats really well, also had to get a stent. And I'm like, I've seen all these things. And then one day I decided to go on we have a scale in the bathroom. I went on and I saw 375. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, in my head, I'm like, I'm figuring like 305, 310 maybe. I saw 375. I'm like, shit, something has to be done. And, I got on keto. My wife, who was supportive as hell, was doing meal prep for me and everything like that. I got all the way down to 325. This is last year, September. I got down to 325. And then, like, I got caught up with the whole end of the year nonsense with Thanksgiving, Christmas, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I kind of shot back up to like 335. And then I kind of got back down. But then, like, COVID happened. And now I got from 325 to 350. But I'm starting on that path again.
Okay. Yeah, and COVID's thrown so much shit off its game. Like, not just it's just, the whole world's fucking up in arms. So I think we've all gained a little quarantine weight, to be 100% honest, because I probably gained about a good 15 pounds in quarantine myself. But something that when you when you said that you're trying to get on a different path and you're gonna go back to doing your meal prep and stuff, do you find like was it difficult for you to find a diet that worked for you without you being super hungry, but that also like helped you lose weight? Because like for me, keto was perfect because I could just eat fucking meat all the time, like real talk, like chicken and throwing in a couple vegetables. So keto worked really, really good for me. But I know people get overwhelmed with that. So like the dietary stuff, was it hard for you to find something that fit you without it driving you crazy during the day?
So at first, I wanted to try keto, but then I realized, and no one told me this, so I'm not a doctor or nutritionist, but this is just for me. I don't recommend keto for anyone my size, like anyone obese. You're not obese, but like for someone that's obese, I don't recommend keto because in keto you have to eat a lot of fats. I can't afford to eat that way. Because I'm like morbidly obese. I'm not even obese. I'm morbidly obese. So like, I can't eat that amount of fats and be like tons of cheese, tons of butter. I can't do that because I don't have that much to give at this point. I'm already at like my breaking point, kind of. Yeah. So what I did was, and how I ended up losing 50 pounds, and even though I gained some of that back now because of COVID, was Seco, which is calorie in, carry out. Literally, you can eat whatever you want, but just eat at a deficit. I'm not sure if you ever heard of that. So you find out what your maintenance weight is. So whatever the amount of calories to maintain your weight. I'm just giving an example. Let's say it's 2,500 calories will maintain your weight. If you eat under that, which is let's say 2,000 calories, that's 500 calorie deficit per day. At the end of the week, 7 days times 500 calories, that's 3,500 calories. At the end of the week, you would lose 1 pound. Because 3,500 calories equals 1 pound, basically. Okay. And once for those who don't know, you and I are numbers guys. We're that's who we are. So once I figured out that losing weight was more of a could be a mathematical thing, I was all in because I'm like, oh, this is something I can get behind. So I started counting my calories, and I tried to keep my carbs at 20 grams or under, which some people might think that's super hard. It's really not, because the first 2 weeks, once you've done like starting eating clean, for me it's fine. I have really good willpower. That's how I stopped. I stopped smoking cold turkey pretty much. So once it got past the first 2 weeks where you're withdrawing really on carbs and on sugars and all that, once you get past those first 2 weeks, it's a smooth sailing. The hardest thing about losing weight is meal prepping. But I've been blessed by an angel in my wife where she does all the hard work. She does the meal prepping and the planning of the lunches and plannings of the dinner, making sure it's under the calorie count. That's 100% all on her. And she does it for me. So not everybody's that lucky, though, to have someone do that.
Hell yeah. You're lucky as shit, bro, because like a lot of people don't do that shit for themselves, much less for somebody else. That's awesome, bro. That's awesome that you have that support, though, there as well, which is the biggest thing. That's what's up, bro. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, man. People pay $600-$700 a month for meal prep services when, I have my wife doing it for me, but she also understands like it's a health concern at this point, and it's not like, oh, I need to drop 20 pounds. It's a health situation, and she's always telling me like, oh, we're gonna have kids. Like, don't you want to, going back to your story, like, well, I want to be able to play with my kids and run around and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, you want to be around for the kiddos. I can't wait for you and Seema to fucking have kids, bro. Because I'm gonna, yeah. Like, go tell Seema you want a prostitute for your birthday.
Oh yeah, that I'm sure that'll go over real well.
No, I don't want no smoke with Seema. Listen, bro. Me and Seema have never had like a one-on-one conversation at all, but she just has that look on her face that she just will kill both of us. I don't want no problems with Seema. No. Yeah,
she likes you. She won't trust your fucking movie advice, but she likes you.
Oh man, January. Can't wait to be there in January. All right, the last topic that I wanted to talk about, and with this one, and we'll see where this goes, is that fashion for plus size men. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I know when I was heavier set, that it was hard. Like for me, it was graphic tees, jeans, and basically polos were the only things that I could really find in the plus size section for me consistently. Now, in doing my research again, I actually found that most brands have plus size lines where you can find very fashionable shit. but they don't market it, and it's you basically have to order it online. So I wanted to talk to you about this. Like, is the idea of a plus size man staying fashionable and having, you know, fly shit basically? Do you feel like that's made more difficult because of it not being marketed and focused on the plus size male community?
Yeah, I know for females it is, you know, it is, but for men, it's out there. It's just not marketing. And you know, like my, you know, my it's you go in my closet, all you'll find literally is what you just said, polos and graphic tees and stuff like that. You don't.
Yeah.
That wasn't growing up. I wore that type of stuff, right? But I also like to dress really nice. I was that guy that, you know, I don't mind wearing like some dress pants and a dress shirt. I had tons. I still have tons of dress shirt. They can't fit me now, but I have tons of dress shirt, every color you can think about, because I like dressing nice sometimes, especially like at work. I've always been in like management position, so you know you want to dress nice. And for a long time, I was like, because you go to like any store, it really cuts off after 3X, and you're lucky sometimes you get 3X. Yeah. Whereas me, I wear 4X and 5X depending on the cut. So pants are usually not an issue, but shirts is an issue. And then when you finally do find that size, for example, I'm just using an example, Men's Warehouse, right? They have 4 and 5X, but it's literally white, burgundy, off-white. That's it. That's all they got. And baby blue.
Yeah.
But I'm that guy where like I like trying like lilacs and salmon and orange. I like getting crazy with my colors sometimes, right? Yeah. But they don't have that. But thankfully, I don't know how I came across this, but I was doing research one time. Even there's a very famous place called at least down south, it's called like DXL or something. I don't know if they have them by your side over in Ohio, but it's for a bigger person. But even, I went there and they're like, yeah, we have like 3Xs, 4Xs. If you want to go above that, we have to order them. Well, everywhere says that. Yeah. So I started doing more and more research, and I remember seeing this place called Big Mike's. Shout out to Big Mike's in Fort Lauderdale. And I called the guy, and the guy's like, I'm like, listen, I think I was going to a wedding, and I needed like dress clothes. I'm like, I'm kind of big. And he's like, well, what's your size? I'm like 4X, 5X. The guy's like, you're kind of big. The guy's like, you're considered skinny in my store. I have like football players that come, like the Miami Dolphins come and shop. So in my head, I'm like, this guy's just trying to sell me. Yeah. I went there, bro. So happy because the place is called Big Mike's. The guy probably weighs like 120 pounds. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, but he has so much fashionable clothes. I'm talking about from like even like casual wear to formal wear, and every piece of formal wear I own, I've bought from that place. And I feel skinny when I go in there because like if you're like 3X, it's hard. They start usually at 4X and above.
That's great. That's the thing. Like you basically had to do your research to find that, and not everyone that doesn't come to their mind, or they have the luxury, or they may just not have it. If you live in a smaller town or whatever, you may not have a size that specializes, store that specializes in sizes like that. So it's and again, this part of the conversation is about men and how they deal with fat phobia and stuff, and that's not to take away from women having to find their sizes and stuff too, but like. There are a lot, at least that I feel like I see places that do promote that they may not be the most fashionable shit, but with men, like you said, it's if you want to experiment, if you want to get more flashier, if you want to do it seems to be harder. And then you also have this idea that it's like some people think that because you're bigger size, you can't dress fly. Like if Notorious B.I.G. didn't teach you motherfuckers nothing. Exactly. You can still be big and fly as motherfucking hell. Look at Rick Ross, even though he's lost a lot of weight now. But
exactly.
Yeah.
I also wanted to really input because it was just right around the corner. I really do wish someone marketed more to bigger men, because I'll give you another example, which was just right in the corner, Halloween. I have the same shit problem every year. I want to go nuts on Halloween, right, and dress up and everything, but the amount of costumes for 5X is so limited. And I must have checked like this past Halloween like 10,000, not 10,000, that's being ridiculous, but at least 50 to 60 websites of trying to get my size. And either the costumes that were kind of cool, they probably only had like 2 in stock and it was sold out, or they just didn't carry that size. And like, you know, at work, they were sort of doing like this Grease theme. So, you know, obviously the leather jacket, and then, you know, that's even something as simple as a leather jacket, like the T-Birds from Grease. I had to check like 30 different websites before I finally found 5X. And it was really expensive, but I'll pay the money, but just have it available to me. And it's really weird that no one has come out and like, listen, we're doing like for a lack of a better term, like a fat guy line. And because I think it would blow the hell up. And it's really weird that no one has done that, or they have done it. And for some reason, I don't know about it.
Yeah. I mean, anyone who's listening, because I don't know about it either. If anyone who's listening to this, you do know, let send us an email. Let us know. I'll make sure I put it on the next. If you're someone who is creating a line for plus size men, let us know so we can definitely promote that for anyone who's listening to this who may be looking out for that resource, because it like you would think, right, because like there's a lot of plus size male celebrities, right, that of course because of where they are, whether they have shit custom made or whatnot, they can stay fashionable. But it's like, why don't you see them creating a line for men? Like like, and it's, I don't know, man. It's this whole stigma, and you know, I have a lot of men in my family who are heavy set. Shout out to my Uncle Randy, who I think he's been 400 pounds for a while now, but he manages to find some stuff. But he'll say, like, legit, I had to find something that was like a 3X or a 4X, and then I had to go take it to the tailor to get it let out the best way that I can to kind of fit me better. And it's like, it should be easier. We should be, because there are men on all. Fashion should not have a size limitation. You feel me? And we're not a fashion podcast. Everything isn't about fashion, but at the same time, people want to dress, look, and feel good. That helps with some of that body shaming. That helps with body positivity if you like what you have on. And so because of that, I did want to talk about that a lot.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I don't know if it's more of a financial thing, because obviously you're making, 5X, 6X, 7X, whatever. It's more material you're using. So the cost gets, kind of big. And then, like, do people really want to spend, $120 on a shirt? So maybe that's why it hasn't done. But I have to assume that this does exist. It's just that for some crazy reason I haven't seen it, because I can't imagine in a world where literally every single thing you can possibly think about exists. There's not a clothing line for Damon John, for Christ's sake. How the hell does he not have a line like that? Fashion is his thing. Yeah. And I'm not trying to sound I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but I know, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like, African Americans, this is an issue with men. It's the same thing with India, like Indian people. I'm not from India, but my ancestry is Indian, where we suffer from like high blood pressure, a lot of heart disease, etc., because of the eating. So I'm surprised that no one has stepped up and be like, hey, we're making a clothing line. Like you said, no matter what, if you dress good, you're going to feel good. It just happens that way. Yeah. Every time I put on like a nice looking shirt and I go out there and I get people are complimenting my shirt, like, oh, that's a nice shirt, blah, 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 blah. It makes you feel good.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a missed aspect on it. Like, because if you're wearing something that doesn't either fit you kind of perfectly, or you feel uncomfortable in, or you don't quite like the color, but you just got that color because that's what they had that was in your size, that plays into your subconscious. And it always, and I don't know if you saw my tweet. I know you kind of pop in and out of Twitter, but like over the last 3 months, I've basically revamped my whole wardrobe, and I did that. And again, I'm still 220. I'm not like where I was back in 295, and I'll never take away from saying that I suffer from the same stuff heavier man does. But like, I was conscious or overly conscious over what. Like, there was outfits that I wanted to try for years that it was like, that wouldn't look quite right on me. And then eventually I just said, fuck it. If I want to try it, I'm going to try it on. And then, but see, everyone doesn't have that flexibility, because I'm in a XL now. So like, it's kind of easy to find that in an experiment. So everyone should have that ability to see what fits them. And like, it shouldn't be a size limitation on it.
Yeah, like my brother, actually, he was as big as 280 up until like a year and a half ago. And, he's been on his grind. He's now down to 180, 185. So he's lost like a shit ton. He was out to, about 100 pounds in a little over a year. So we were talking about the other day, like, even at 280, he was having a hard time finding clothes versus like, imagine someone like myself, 350 pounds. I must have like 40 baby blue shirts in my closet, like for dress shirts, because they literally only have baby blue, white, and burgundy. That's all you find.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
bro. That's crazy. And of course, fitted suits are always a thing, but those can be expensive as shit. Like I like.
Well,
Go ahead.
the last two time I bought suits, honestly, um, they were both like sort of like a big portion of it was custom made because if you go and buy like a 5X for someone like I'm at a real disadvantage because I'm a fat guy, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not tall. So like if you buy like a 5X suit, the sleeve is like touching the floor because you assume someone that's 5X they're tall because that's
Yeah,
what
true.
but because I'm short, I'm 5'7" and a half, 5'8", that's really short, and I'm I'm fat as well, so it's I get my shit custom kind of custom made, but now you're talking about like ridiculous prices for a suit.
Yeah, yeah,
So
fucking crazy, bro. All right, moving out of fashion. That's really kind of the last actual topic that I had, but something I wanted to ask you before we go, right, bro, is that if for anyone who's listening to this and they're completely like this is opening their eyes to what men feel and deal with when it comes to body shaming and weight and everything else, leave them some parting words, whether they're a male dealing with it or somebody who's just now getting their eyes open to it. What's some parting information you would give them?
The first thing is just because you're a dude, don't feel like you can't talk about anything. Trust me, whatever you're going through, I guarantee there are millions of people that have went through what you're going through, or are currently going through it, or did go through it and are recovering. One thing that I used a lot that helped me, and I mean even like CJ doesn't know about this stuff because we don't talk about this stuff. Reddit was a really big thing for me because there's a lot of uh, Reddit, subreddits
Mm-hmm.
for that helping lose weight. If that's something that you're wanting to do, which I strongly recommend to everybody, to not even for appearance, not even for any of that stuff, just strictly for your health.
Yeah.
In addition to that, one of my major issues, which we didn't really talk about, is I'm a very emotional eater. So if I go to work and I have a bad day, like when I leave work, I want to go to like McDonald's and freaking get like a Big Mac or something like that. And I never really realized that until my wife pinpointed it one day, and she was like, "You're an emotional eater." I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And it is true. I am an emotional eater. So if you're stressed out, you're having issues, don't look for food for comfort. It will
Mm-hmm.
comfort you, but in actuality, it's leaving long-term effects. And um, just don't feel like it's you're not masculine by speaking about this stuff because this is a very big thing. I've never gone through depression, but I know there are people that do go through depression because of their weight. And I'm here. Haize has my information. At the end of the show, I'm sure I'll say my Twitter and all that. Reach out to me. I'm not a professional or anything, but I will be glad to speak to anybody and help them and just be a ear to listen to, or whatever it is, just to speak. Ain't no shame in that. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it. Support is something we should all have, regardless of what the genre, the gender is, regardless of what the issue is. As a human race, we need to support our brothers and sisters at the end of the day.
That's you couldn't say it any better, bro. And that's at the end of the day, I hope that like people take that away from the series, my podcast as a whole. Like we gotta talk about things, and like we gotta stop feeling like we're on islands with shit and that nobody else will understand or nobody else is going through shit, because all that does is put us in a mental place of like now we're making ourselves feel alone, and there's somebody out there who not only probably would be that ear for you to listen to, doesn't know that you're going through it, and would very gladly help you as much as they can. That's not to say that everyone's going to have the answers, but just like with Seema with you, her being willing to do all that for you to help you in to eat better. Hell, there may be you may have a friend who may be your accountability buddy who's saying, well, look, I'll go on this diet with you. That way you don't feel like you're going on it alone. You just never know. And so when you don't speak on shit, you're definitely not going to get anywhere. You might as well. And if you don't have people around you who you feel comfortable talking to, that should tell you something about your circle then. And then like Reddit, for example, some places that JB, me and JB, just highlight this. Me and JB met on Reddit, which is funny enough. And now like JB is literally one of the closest people in my life, not just podcasting. So like, that goes to show like you have to be willing to reach out and open up. Yeah, there's a lot of bullshit, a lot of negativity and ignorance on the internet, but there's a lot of good that can be done through it as well.
Well said, my man.
There you go. All right, well that's it, JB. Good conversation, man. Thank you for opening up. Like, I learned some shit about you I didn't know. I'm gonna go ahead and message Seaman and say, JB was on the podcast reminiscing about his old bitches.
That'll go over well. Good luck on your dinner when you come here in January. I'm gonna be like, Haize made me do it.
Don't do that.
That's all.
COVID. Don't do that. But JB, go ahead and give me your social media, man, before we get out of here.
Yeah, I can be reached on Twitter at the P1JB. That's at THEP1JB, and I can also be reached on Facebook as well. And also, let me just take this time real quick just to thank you for allowing me to be on the show. I know we do like a million podcasts together, and we talk about the most craziest shit. And if you're doubting me, just listen to My Brother's Keeper. But we talk about film on Film Frequency. You've been a guest on my show, Cage Theory. We talk about MMA and stuff. However, more than all that stuff, and I bleed MMA, these are the things that I really enjoy doing. And that's why and I've said it a million times, I love your show, because you can talk about one thing one day that has absolutely nothing to do with me, but you're my brother, so I'm going to listen anyway. And then you have something like this where, like your last episode, I forgot the young lady's name that was on your episode.
Danielle, shout out to her.
Shout out to her. And this thing, fat phobia, triggered me. Not triggered me in the sense that I'm upset, but it hit home because although I've never had anyone fat shame me into my face, I am fat. I am a big, heavy set person. So this is like right up my alley, and the topic is relevant to me. So that's one thing I really love about TS is just so many topics that may hit home to you. So if you're listening and like fat phobia is not your cup of tea, you're fine. Trust me, there will be something just right around the corner that will relate to you. So stay locked on.
There you go. There you have it. I appreciate that's great words from our brother, man. I appreciate that. Hopefully, man, I've always said, TAS is my legacy in the sense that, like, you can pick up so much just going through. Like, there are people who find the podcast and they said they're going to play roulette today and just pick an episode and listen to it. And I love that I have that because it's not based on current events. It's not based on any of that. Like, I have some of that, especially in the Minor Haize segment. But generally in the discussion topics, I love it to be evergreen as it can be. And a lot of my content is. And ultimately, man, that means a lot. You've seen literally me go from starting podcasting and doing some wrestling to turning into something as meaningful as this and as crazy as My Brother's Keeper. So it's just funny that I do both. But do not judge me if you listen to My Brother's Keeper, by the way. But that's it, man. This has been me and my brother JB, man. You'll be hearing from us again, even outside of the two podcasts that we do together, because we have a habit of always finding a way to work together on something. But you can follow the podcast at Awaken Soul Pod or at The Awaken Soul Pod, just depending on where you're looking for us at. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, theawakensoulpod@gmail.com. You can send us a voicemail, 614-547-2039. We are the #1 podcast in the world, and we out this bitch. Peace.